Hello and welcome to the Archie Luxury program. By now you've probably seen my other videos on why the watch business is a bit hard. But yeah, just in conclusion, I wanted to say, the other thing too is that sometimes the internet is a great thing that works for you, sometimes it works against you. And I really do love the internet. And I'm really pleased that retailing is changing across the world. That's a really good thing. However, let me just say this too, is that it also makes it a lot harder to advertise. See, normally, if you were a small watch dealer, you'd put a few ads in the classifieds, and you'd sell some stock that way. But see, what's happening now is people aren't buying newspapers as they used to. And take the Gold Coast Bulletin. The Gold Coast is a coastal part of Queensland, very similar to Miami in America, except with a smaller population. But it's a coastal sort of retirement place, and it's got a lot of characteristics that are similar to to Miami in America. And okay, so that's a great place to sell. Say you're selling second-hand Rolexes, but the big thing is that okay, if you look at the classified section in the Gold Coast Bulletin, it's gone on a weekend, say a Saturday. It's gone from being about 20-30 pages down to 2 pages. And this is what's happening, is that the world is changing. People aren't using newspapers as they used to. So whereas before you'd put an advertisement in there saying, hey, you're selling some second-hand watches, it's very hard to reach the customer. And sure, you could certainly, I'd certainly put a website together and do that. But the thing is, what's happened with a lot of newspaper advertising is because they're fighting so viciously against the net. The weekend shopper in the Courier Mail, for example, if your product is under $500, your advertisement is basically free. And you don't actually have to pay for the advertisement. But if your item you're selling is over $500, the costs are actually quite high. And obviously what's happened is that the Courier Mail now attracts a whole stack of people selling fakes. So whereas it was a good source of advertising before, now you're paying big money and you're smeared with fakes on all sides of your advertisement. But that's not to say that you can't put a few advertisements around the place there. I still think there is money to be made with a vintage watch business, and I think if I was going to do it properly, I'd as I said in another video, concentrate on one thing, and I think the thing is Rolex watches. That's what you would concentrate on. You'd have a good inventory of pieces. You'd have a couple of steel Datejusts, a two-tone Datejust. You'd have a ladies version. You'd also have maybe a gold version. And of course, you'd have some sports pieces, Submariners. You'd have Explorer, GMT, maybe even you definitely need a two-tone Subby or a two-tone GMT, and you'd need one or two solid gold, like some day dates, a ladies day date, and a ladies Datejust President and a men's day date President. That's the sort of stock you'd need there, and I think you could have a reasonable business. When I say a reasonable business, you want to probably have about 100 to 150,000 worth of stock, and you'd want to eke out a living. That's what you'd want to try and do. And look, for me, there's a number of reasons why I don't do it. I mean, I've got a job at the moment, and it's always I think you'd sort of you've got to, when you're in sales, you've got to answer the phone anytime. So I'm not available all the time because I'm working. So I think that'd put me into a bad position if I had to answer the phone all the time. And the other thing is that I've got some beautiful pieces. I mean, I've got a Patek. Well, for Australia, Patek's a great brand. I love it, but people don't understand it. You know, you need, if you want to have a business, you need Rolex. That's the you know, the most known brand of luxury watch in Australia is Rolex, and a mature market could handle Patek, but this market can't. So, and I've got other pieces too. I've got pieces I've bought really well. I've got a two-tone Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and you know, it's in beautiful condition. I've got box and papers for it. It's just a gorgeous piece. And do I really want to liquidate it to buy another Rolex? You think, oh shit, I love my Royal Oak, you know. And I've got pieces which I really like. I've bought them and I've acquired them, and you know, I don't really want to sell them. You know, this is the thing. I kind of, I really do. I'm a collector. I really do love my pieces, and I've got Louis Vuitton. You know, to get money for this business, I should really liquidate some of that. Put my money into. So you kind of think to yourself, you know, is it worth it at the end of the day? You've also got security concerns too. Any type of business like this attracts, you know, a bit of a criminal element. You know, you've got people who want to rip you off or rob you or things like that. So you've got to be so careful. You know, it's something that you can't really put a sign out the front of your house, vintage watch dealer, vintage Rolex dealer, and you know, you're going to attract, it's going to get the wrong element. You know, it's kind of, yeah, you got to be a bit careful with that type of business, you know. But I mean, it's there is things you can do, and I mean, you know, you could have there's a lot of antique centres. You can rent a little bit of space in an antique centre. There's a lot of things you can do, and I think as a retirement business it'd be really good. But at the moment, I'm kind of you know, I've got a collection I'm happy with, but I think, you know, a collection I'm happy with is different to running a business. So you've got to have either, do you want to do the business or do you want to have a collection that makes you happy? So I've chosen the collection that makes me happy at this stage, and that's not to say I can't liquidate some pieces and try a business like this. But the thing is that it's a hard go, and you know, I've tried many things with it. I've also I've got a friend who runs a vintage watch shop, and he's got a great location. He's a lovely guy, and he's honest, and I trust him. But you know, the problem is when I split the profit, because what the deal with him is, if I give him pieces on consignment, he sells them, and then we split the profit, because he's got a lot of costs. He's got staff, he's got rent. His rent is very high, and obviously I've paid for the stock, so I've got my costs with it. But the reality is that after you take out GST, because he can't cheat tax, because he's got a legitimate business, and I wouldn't want him to either. And then you take out the costs, the servicing, the cost of having the right box for that piece, and it's getting slim. You know, is it worth doing? And this is the thing, and this is the problem with that type of business. And I think, look, I would. I think there is future. I think Archie is going to be a luxury watch dealer. I'm not going to give my stock on tick to pawn shops and that. I've tried that and it really didn't work. I think I'm going to concentrate. This is sort of the 10 to 20 year plan. Once I'm in semi-retirement, I think I'll do something along those lines there. And you know, I think there's money to be made in it, but you've got to. Look, I'm an entrepreneur. Archie, I mean, I started my own business selling computers when I was 15. You know, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I like to do business. I like customers. I mean, you might see in my other videos where I've told you some stories. Yeah, it's true. But there's some great customers too. I mean, they're not all fucking assholes. You know, it's. But you know, I in the same token, I like to be upfront with the audience and to tell you what it's like. And it is no. There is no easy way to make a shitload of money in it. It's hard work, and I'm not scared of that. I'm happy to put in hard work. I mean, I had my own computer business for virtually 13 years. Okay, 13 years. I basically finished school and I just went into working for myself, and you know, then I went to work for wages because that industry changed, and I found it very hard to work for dickheads. And when you'd run a business, you did things lean and mean, and you know, you did things which were right for the customer, but you also had profit, and the costing's always in the back of your mind. And then you work with people who just don't have a fucking clue. It's very disheartening. And look, it's always good to keep your options open. I mean, I'd love to make a full-time living selling vintage watches, and I'm sure I can do it, but I think the timing's got to be right. I think at the moment I've also got the Archie Luxury channel. This channel gives me a lot of joy. I love producing clips, and the thing is, keep the feedback coming, because that's really what makes me motivated to make the next clip. I get all these comments, and people send me whether it's good or bad, send me comments, and click if you like the videos. Try and get my numbers up a bit. My numbers have been a bit lean lately, but that's okay. Just keep sending me comment and banter. I really do enjoy that. I love the commentary, and you know, people coming and giving me ideas and suggestions. I don't follow all of them, of course, but hey, you know, that's keep the flow coming, and yeah, that's how it goes. Hopefully Sid from Chicago can send me one too. I enjoy Sid from Chicago sends me things, but yeah, the watch business itself, I think it's look, the other thing too is that I think at the moment times are a bit tough. The economy's not the greatest, and the thing that makes it really complicated is that a lot of the stock I would buy would come from Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan. That market prices are a bit up for Rolex, and that's because a lot of the Chinese are buying things, so it's difficult to sell here, and I've also got a tough market. So yeah, I'll certainly give things a try there, and hey, stay tuned for the next installment from the Archie Luxury channel. Thanks very much.